I would like to start the analysis of current international relations events related to the Trump policy with a premise. The important premise is that this is the first time in which the superpower, of course there are other superpowers that aim to be at the same level, but the US is the supreme superpower in terms of international relations these days, is the first time that the superpower is populist. So populist superpower has the following implications from the literature on populism. Number one, increase in protectionism, so reduction of gains from trade for the other countries as well. Second, strategic disengagement. These are the two key words that I will push in my research. Protectionism and strategic disengagement, and I will talk about it in a minute, imply that unfortunately the risk of interstate war among non-superpowers can increase. And the strategic disengagement is gonna take the following shape. The domestic interest of a populist require him to be very sensitive to the needs of the new median voter of the US politics. And the new median voter of the US politics is a low-level, low-skill employee, almost at risk of unemployment, being afraid of who? Of whom? Afraid of China imports, bringing to protectionism, and afraid of challenges of immigration. Therefore, the new median voter is against openness, is pro-closure, against immigration, against globalization. This leads to protectionism. This leads to the changes in foreign policy vis-à-vis China, Europe, the whole trade partnerships, etc. And leads also to strategic disengagement in the sense of, okay, let's remain engaged when our position is closer to the incumbent in power, and therefore it's also cheap, and is also cheap to be looking hawkish, like in the case of backing Israel. Backing Israel is consistent both with strategic disengagement and with the other policies of a populist. Whereas in countries and situations where the previous position of the superpower was in favor of the underdog, in those situations and countries, the US is retreating, okay? So this means that in all possible contexts of potential civil war or potential interstate war, the US is going to remain engaged when the US is already backing the strong, and is going to disengage in the situation in which the US was previously in favor of the weak. This will mean, in my analysis, that what we await in the future is an increase in potential inequality across in the countries that previously were relying on the engagement of the US, and therefore we will see an exacerbation of inequality of treatment, for example, in Palestine regions. And for the more difficult interpretation of what reconciles this picture with North Korea, I can say that even there, the choice of hawkish Pentagon leaders is not inconsistent with disengagement, because as we are seeing, in fact, the tendency is to speak loud and tough, but actually go towards peace, goes towards negotiation, because the domestic politics of the US, the new median voter of the US, does not have a strong interest in what happens both economically and politically in the Korean peninsula. Therefore, overall, in that particular region of the world, we do expect both hawkish speeches, but also tendency towards disengagement and reaching an agreement.